Good morning, everybody. I can leave my treat pouch alone. Thank you, Mrs. Let's get in the picture. We are going to start with our first trick, and I'm going to have to get rid of my treat pouch because someone's going to mug me. Thank you. So just to introduce you to sort of the concept of trick training, if you like. If anybody watched, or actually I would encourage you to watch the video that I put on, I think it was last week, which talked about the push, stick, drop method. So have a look at that first if you haven't already seen it, because that's kind of the process we need to use when we're training tricks. Well, any behaviour really, but particularly for tricks, because it's quite important to be quite accurate with your training. So for each trick that I'm going to introduce you to, there will be a training plan, which looks a little bit like this. You might need a magnifying glass to read it. But basically there is there's several steps, right? This is step one, I think. I'm going to read that out in a minute. And then for each step, there's a few boxes on the right-hand side, which I'm going to explain what they are. So each step is a level in the trick, what we might call the criteria that you're looking for in that particular step. And what you're aiming to do is do 5 repetitions of each step. And this is where the push drop stick comes in. So out of those 5, if you've got 4 or 5 reps correct, then you can move on to the next step. If you only got 3 correct, then you need to stick at the level you're at. And if you've got 2 or less, then you need to drop down a level. So the first step that we're going to, the first trick we're going to teach is a crawl. So getting your dog to crawl along on the floor. So the first step on your plan is to get your dog in a down position, and you're going to use a food lure. Now a food lure is basically holding a piece of food in between your kind of thumb and your first 2 fingers and having that in front of your dog's nose and getting them to move and follow your hand. I'm going to do a little demo in a minute. If your dog isn't used to doing that, then you almost need to practice that in itself. So, for example, get Miss in front of the camera, shall we? Let's not chew the plan. That wouldn't be very good, would it? So, you want to have your treat in between your fingers. You're going to have it in front of your dog's nose, and you want them to follow that food log. Good. And then you can mark and reward. So at the moment I'm just getting Ruby Roo to follow my hand and follow the food lure. I'd rather if she didn't bite me. Good. So something to work on separately with her actually, because she does mouth a little bit. Good. Okay, so that's basically what we mean by a food lure. Good girlie. So your first step of your crawl is to use a food lure to move them along the floor on the ground while they're still in a down position. And your first criteria is that you move front left and right leg 1 paw's length. So all we're looking for in the first step is a little bit of movement, really. And actually the crawl is a really good exercise for body awareness. So anybody who's been coming to my agility classes will know all about body awareness and rear end awareness. And actually teaching a crawl is quite a good one, because they do have to know what's going on in the back end. Because they need to be able to move their back legs as well as their front legs. If you've got a dog that's got very long legs, like my Murphy for instance, they might find this a bit tricky. So he does find this a bit tricky. He can do it, but he does find it a bit hard. And actually he finds the down position generally quite uncomfortable. He's got very muscly kind of hind legs, a bit like a lurcher or a greyhound. And you might find that sometimes they find it a bit uncomfortable in a down position. So so just bear that in mind. So if you've got a dog with little legs, you should be easy at this. So I'm going to just demonstrate the first step, maybe the first couple of steps actually, because I've done step 1 with her. So Ruby hasn't really done this at all. So there you are. We're starting from scratch. But I did have a little practice before I put this video on. So she has done step 1. So I might do a couple of repetitions of step 1, and then I might go on to step 2, depending how we go on, obviously, which is basically I'm looking for a bit more stretch in the front legs. So should we give it a go, Ruby? You seem to have gone to sleep. We've just come back from a walk, actually. Quite an exciting walk, because there's quite a few people out about at the moment, isn't there? So we'll see how we get on. You're going to get up? Come on. So you want to start by getting your dog in a down position. Oh, just the other thing, actually, good girlie, is you ideally want to do this on a mat. So you might see I've got a mat down in front of me, because you want it to be a comfortable place for them to start doing this, because they're going to be, you know, scraping their belly along the floor, and you don't want to do that on a rough surface or a shiny surface where they might slip. So a nice good grippy mat is a good place to start. Good girl. So you want to start them in the down position. Get up. You can reward that if you haven't got particularly good down. Then you're just going to get your food lure in front of the nose, quite close to the ground, and you're just going to move your hand a little bit forward. Good. And there you see, I got 2 paw from the front, movement from the front legs. Murphy's just turned up because he just thinks he now needs to do this. So do that again. Good. Now she shuffled with her back end first and then her front legs, but that's fine. She was just getting herself in a comfy position. Good. Good girlie. That's good. Oh no. So this is quite a good thing to demonstrate. Now she's gone into a flopped down. I don't know if you've seen this. Now she's not going to be able to do the crawl from that position, so we need to get her back up again. Basically, she's been a lazy lump. Come on, start again. Good girlie. On we go, and we sit, and we go down. That's good, girl. So just move your hand along the floor. Good. It's the front legs I want moving. The back end can move as well, but it's the front leg that I'm kind of judging the distance on, if you like. Good girl, nice. So I'm marking her, the good, after she's done the 2 front paws. Now if you use a clicker, that would be where you click. I'm using, oh, she's done it again. I'm using, funny girl. I'm using a mark word Ruby at the moment because I haven't really introduced the clicker to her yet. And bizarrely, I can't find any clickers in the house, which is ridiculous. I must have given them all away. Come on. And sit. Down. So we just do it one more time. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more from the front end this time. Good. Nice. She's flopping again. Good. Good girl. Well done. Clever girlie. Clever girlie. Right, I just need to feed the Murphy because he's appeared and he's looking all sorry for himself. There you go. Good boy. So that's starting point. What I'm going to be doing, and what you guys can do as well, is post videos along the way. So do your first couple of steps and post a video, and then I can give you some feedback on how you're getting on, and just progress through the plan. If you've got any questions about the plan, just post the questions. Just a couple of things. Oh, good girl. Gonna get a teddy. Just a couple of possible things that could go wrong. The likelihood is when you first do it, is that their bum might pop up. So you might have them in a down and you start lowering them forward, and they just either, especially you taught a bow, earlier voice taught a bow, the likelihood is that a bum might come up. So if that happens, you just need to reposition them back into a down, and then maybe just reward them for staying in the down a couple of times. And if you're still getting the bum popping up, you need to lower what you're expecting from your dog. So Ruby did a nice paw and kept her bum down, but you might just want to maybe think about, like, just stretching the head forward and the bum staying down. That's your first step. Mark and reward that. So they're getting used to sort of moving their body forward but keeping their bottom down. Just be aware that, I mean, dogs do crawl naturally, so it's not completely alien behaviour, but it's not something they do all the time. You might see them roll and then they'll get up and then they might crawl along a little bit and then get up. So, you know, just go slowly with it, and don't try and push them too quickly. That's a really important thing about this process, the push stick drop process, is that if you follow it properly, I'll have to say that I'm guilty of not doing that, so I am going to be very stringent with myself this time. It's a good opportunity for me to refresh my my training techniques, especially with this one, don't be tempted to jump the steps quickly, too quickly, because you might push your dog and then you get more fails and then they start giving up. All right, and this is where I kind of went wrong with Murphy when I was teaching him tricks. Is that he would get it so quickly and do it so well that I was like, right, I'm going to progress, and then he found it difficult, and then he would just go, no, that's too hard, I'm going to give up now. So just be careful you don't do that, because you want, this whole process is about bonding and having fun with your dog, yeah, and giving them some mental stimulation. I did a little bit of trick training with her yesterday, and it completely shattered her. So it's a really good thing to be doing with them at this time when you can't maybe get them out as much as you might have done before. So give it a go. I'm going to carry on with it today, and I'm going to post some updates on how I'm getting on with her. I'm also going to give it a go in Murphy as well, because he seems to be being a bit FOMO again. And let me know how you get on. And keep training, Mrs. Right, see you soon.